is.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is a live emergency briefing with 2 tornado warnings in southern Wisconsin to the northeast of Dubuque right now, and I'm breaking these down on radar. I'm going to show them to you here in a second. Trying to mix up the order a little bit to see if maybe if I open this up a little bit later, if this would be a smoother operating stream. And those are those 2 tornado warning storms there. Southern Wisconsin, and these are actually out ahead of the MCS that we were tracking in the morning update this morning. And there you can see radar imagery. Let me zoom in on some of these storms here. Let me change out the screen as well. There you go. So you definitely have both of these storms that do have pretty strong couplets right now. These are radar indicated tornado warnings here right now. Both of these are radar indicated. There you can see this is on reflectivity. Zooming in a little bit closer. These are one of them is to the southwest of Platteville. One of the lead tornado warning though here is just to the southwest of Darlington, to the west of Red Rock, Wisconsin. And there you can see that strong rotation. This down here is actually some range folded RFD. So that's actually RFD that's wrapping around the southern side of that storm. The radar is off to the southwest in Davenport. This right here is the inflow coming in toward that circulation right now. So that RFD is definitely swinging around the southeastern side. But at least right now on this scan, it's not incredibly tight. It is moving off to the east-southeast. Looks like it's cycling, if anything. But there you can see that circulation just to the south of Darlington, west of Red Rock. Looks like that circulation is weakening a little bit, and it might be about to cycle and do a handoff. Here you can see the main circulation lifting off to the north. Then you can see that RFD surge down to the south of that circulation, and that could be the handoff that is happening right now. So let me stop this loop. But there you can see that RFD. And look at that circulation. The RFD wrapped all the way around, and it looks like the cycle is complete, and possible tornado touching down there just to the west of Red Rock, Wisconsin. You definitely want to be in your safe place down there near Red Rock. Let me expand the radar just a little bit to show you that area of rotation. Looks like my internet is bouncing around a little bit, but there you can see that rotation just to the west of Red Rock, Wisconsin. This is the lead supercell of 2 tornado warned storms. So let's see if there's any debris coefficient, any correlation drop that might be showing up here to the west of Red Rock. I'm not seeing anything now, but that circulation is just ramping up to the west of Red Rock there. And this one to the west of Dickeyville. If you live in Dickeyville, you want to be in your safe place. Certainly there. Looks like that is crossing the river right about now, just to the west of Dickeyville. Crossing the Mississippi. There still is a little tornado warning there on the Iowa side, but that can be allowed to expire. That expires in about 11 minutes. And it looks like the circulation is pretty close to the Mississippi right now, at least based on reflectivity. There's that rotation maxing out just to the west of the Mississippi, it looks like, in the far northeastern corner of Iowa. And now it looks like it might be cycling, reorganizing a little bit. That circulation is just starting to ramp up a little bit to the southeast of Dickeyville. So it looks like between Dickeyville and Jamestown right now, that's where the strongest rotation is located. Right about in there. So Jamestown, Wisconsin, you want to be in your safe place just in case that circulation is able to turn off to the right just a little bit. The green is the rotation toward the radar. I believe that orange is strong winds away from the radar and the RFD going around, but it is possible that that's range folded inflow there. But if you loop the radar, you can definitely see the inflow ramping up. A couple of different circulations that happened there as it was crossing the Mississippi really ramped up due south of Dickeyville there to the northwest of Jamestown. Let's take a look at radar reflectivity here, see if that lines up well. Man, everything runs so slow on here. And there you can see the inflow on reflectivity You can definitely see this tight forward flank gradient there in the reflectivity. This circulation could be wrapped in rain, but it's probably out ahead of this rain a little bit. You can see this large area here of northerly winds. Probably some old circulations that are buried inside of that rain. And then you've got this new circulation here between Dickeyville and Jamestown that's starting to ramp up and definitely is pulling in clean inflow, it appears, out of the due south. And you can see everything just rotate in toward that low pressure that is the low-level mesocyclone there. All these radar elements, banded features here, curling into the mesocyclone. All the wind wants to go toward the area of low pressure with this mesocyclone as it moves off to the east. But this is the tornadic portion of that storm between Dickeyville and Jamestown there. Let's take a look at rotation once again. And there you can see that circulation halfway between Dickeyville and Jamestown happening. It is ramping up, and this definitely is inflow here on this side, this area of orange, going away from the radar. Those are strong southerly winds, strong storm relative inflow into it. And then you can see in bright green, you've got strong northerlies coming in toward the radar there. So you definitely do have quite a stout mesocyclone between Dickeyville and Jamestown. See if it's still radar indicated. That new warning still is radar indicated. It expires in 9 minutes, but it'll probably be extended at 4:04. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Dickeyville, 9 miles southwest of Platteville, moving east at 25. So this is the back storm of the two, and then there's still this lead tornado warning storm. Definitely two tornado warning storms, and these are renegade supercells that developed out ahead of that MCS that we were tracking this morning during our live briefing. And this one's definitely ramping up as well. Some pretty strong rotation to the south of Darlington. Reflectivity here shows a pretty well-defined hook echo on it. To the west of Red Rock, where that new circulation is starting to ramp up. Looks like it's about to have a cell merger coming in from the south between Scullsburg and Gratiot. It was totally isolated though, and look at this thing cycle around, and you have the new mesocyclone ramping up just as it's about to merge with that little updraft off to the south. Stand by. So Vince is on this storm, and he says it has a big wall cloud on it right now. I assume he's on the lead supercell here, which is just to the south of Darlington, closing in on the Red Rock area. This was as of 2 minutes ago, this radar scan. Can look at velocity and definitely see that rotation starting to ramp up as it's approaching Red Rock. Looks like that rotation is getting pretty tight, so I wouldn't be surprised if that thing is about to produce a tornado. Coming into Red Rock, you certainly want to be in your safe place right now. And there it is. There's that strong rotation. And it's getting tighter, too, and more compact, which tells me that this is a possibly about to produce a tornado right now as it's coming into Red Rock, Wisconsin. There you can see that strong low-level mesocyclone. Weota, you also need to keep an eye on this storm further upstream. Should pass well to the north of Gratiot there. Still radar indicated. Let me take a look at Vince's live stream. Twistor chasers. They've definitely had an active year out there. Definitely check out his live stream over at Twistor. He says it's starting to go linear, so that makes me think that he might be on the back storm right now. So it's very possible that he's on the back one right now. But right now we are tracking two tornado warning storms. If anything, it looks like updrafts are starting to merge with this storm from the south, which would definitely help to mitigate its tornado threat. Sometimes, though, when they undergo these cell mergers, it'll actually cause tornado genesis. It can kind of enhance that RFD a little bit, enhance the rotation, and actually cause the tornado to form really quick. Usually they have a pretty small window to make that happen. But the circulation is definitely ramping up as that cell merger is about to happen to the west of Red Rock. It does look like on a stream, almost like a whale's mouth a little bit.
Here, maybe I can get a view.
There it is.
Not as
impressive there it is.
As it was.
Does have a little wall cloud on
so
it.
It's tough to determine. When we had that velocity couplet spike, there were some rotating rain bands right under here.
Yeah, looks pretty good. You can follow his live stream at the Twistor Storm Chasers, TWISTOR. Yeah, there's the circulation on the north side, I think.
This whole thing what's happening is the entire mesocycle is rotating. We've got rain bands in there.
Yeah.
Action going on.
The velocity couplet does look to be a little bit less strong as it's coming into Red Rock here. Still have decent inflow. Yeah, so zooming out. There you can see that tornado warning. It does include Darlington and Fayette, but basically areas up in the northern portion of this tornado warning. The danger area is definitely further to the south, near Red Rock right now. Red Rock, Wisconsin, so that's what I'm thinking based on latest radar here. You still have this storm off to the west, too. We have been following 2 tornado warnings. This is the best one, the back one just to the north of the Jamestown area. Davenport radar, so it's looking like that actually might be starting to go a little bit linear. There you can see coming from the west, that circulation ramp up right there. Thing is just running too slow. The tornado warning was allowed to drop on the western storm as it has lost a lot of its rotation. This is all just range folded northerlies here. So basically this is an outflow dominant storm. Big northerlies, cold northerlies happening right now. A lot of cold air, not a lot of inflow. Some old circulations hiding out back here behind it, back in the rain, but those aren't going to be doing anything. So now we're just down to this one tornado warning with rotation approaching the Red Rock, Wisconsin area. That rotation is starting to weaken a little bit. It is just on the southwest side of Red Rock right now, moving off to the due east. Right now it does not have a tornado on the ground, but it is a pretty dangerous storm here. Not a history of producing any tornadoes, but it has had a wall cloud. I believe my storm chasing friend Vince is on this storm right now, Twistor Storm Chasers, and I was just looking at his live stream, and you can see his at twistor.com. Definitely got a wall cloud right there. I'm about to share his live stream to throw a bone for letting us use this video here. But there you can see it. It does look a little bit outflow dominant right now. It looked a lot better when he first got on that storm. And at that time, it had a pretty well-defined wall cloud. He even mentioned something about some rotating rain curtains underneath that wall cloud. So it definitely had some low-level rotation. I do want to switch radars, but my computer is getting bogged down here, folks. And it looks like that lead tornado warning was also allowed to expire. So there were 2 tornado warnings, one near the Red Rock, Wisconsin area. That one was allowed to expire. And then this one southeast of Dickeyville. was allowed to expire, but severe thunderstorm warnings continue for these two areas in southern Wisconsin. And this developed out ahead of that squall line too. So the squall line, or MCS, that we were tracking in the morning briefing is off into northeastern Iowa, southwestern Wisconsin. And there you can see some outflow boundaries. So I think that these were elevated here too. You can see this outflow boundary through Galena, north of the Lena area there. And then you've got this outflow boundary like that. Looks like they merge out ahead of the storm. And then you've got this elevated supercell structure back behind it trying to latch on to that warm air, pull in some inflow there right in the gap between those two outflow boundaries, and that could temporarily increase the tornado threat with that storm. But when you loop that radar, you can see that those outflow boundaries are surging out ahead of it a little bit. Look at them go. Intersection right there, and look at that appendage try to build out and try to grab onto that warm humid air. It's trying to reach out, almost propagate into the warm air, but it looks like that outflow boundary is staying just ahead of it. This one's dropping to the south pretty rapidly through Galena right now, so that temporarily ended the tornado threat with this storm that was anchored on it. This one back here, I guess, could have a tornado threat if it's able to latch on somehow to that warm, humid air, surface base instability, big southeasterlies right there, maybe some outflow boundary interaction, but it looks right now like those outflow boundaries are pretty stout and they're surging out ahead of that storm a little bit. But looking off to the east, we have our former tornado warning storm, and you can kind of track that outflow boundary up to it. And it looks like the outflow boundary has just gusted out ahead of that storm as well. And look at it, look at that outflow boundary cruising off to the south. So these temporarily did have a tornado threat when they were able to anchor on that outflow boundary. But now it does look like that outflow boundary is blasting off to the south, which is going to temporarily end the tornado threat out there. So I'm about to head out and get some sweat equity in, like The Rock does. I'm going to go work out, maybe ride my mountain bike since I ran yesterday. It's the Get Back in Shape campaign here. Just took my medicine as well. Little Rick Simpson oil. So there you can see that outflow boundary blasting off to the south. This one blasting out as well across eastern Iowa. Dubuque, you're about to get rocked by big-time straight-line winds there. Severe thunderstorm warning is in effect. Looks like you're going to impact this portion of the storm, which is starting to bow out a little bit as well. So you could have some enhanced damaging straight-line winds up there. Someone's probably going to get some flooding as well with these supercells lining up one after another. So we got a tornado warning still according to this. Probably up in Canada. Yep. Might as well go take a look at these as well. So those two tornado warnings have been allowed to expire, and we are looking up into Canada. They always issue massive tornado warnings up there. North of Melville, that's where Sean lives. Sean Schofer lives in Melville, Saskatchewan there. So hopefully Sean Schofer is heading off to the north. Look at that. Nice classic bean-shaped supercell right there. Looks like a big hail core as well there in purple. Definitely a supercell storm. Oh, look at that. It's the best our Canadian radar can do out there at resolving this. But let's see if there is a mesocyclone. And it does look like there is, right about here. We're scanning pretty high up in the storm from Foxhorn, Manitoba, looking off to the northwest. But you can definitely see a mesocyclone aloft. So I'm going to send a text to Sean really quick and make sure that he's aware of this thing. So Sean is just leaving, he said, heading north out of Melville, Saskatchewan. Probably going to be able to get that storm somewhere south of Springside in Saskatchewan, and then it could hit Yorkton as well. It's not Saskatchewan like we were taught in school, but it's actually Saskatchewan, kind of like W-I-N. That's how the Canadians say it down there. So this is the circulation. Let's see if there is a tornado being reported. Where we can read the text here. Possibly producing a tornado. So an eyewitness did report a funnel cloud near Atuna at 3:10 Central Time. So that was off to the west of this storm. Probably up about here where that funnel cloud is being sighted. So now the mesocyclone is right there, and it's a pretty nice storm. The two tornado warnings that we were tracking earlier in southern Wisconsin have been dropped. Those have been replaced with severe thunderstorm warnings. So now we're tracking this one up in Canada. And Sean got a tornado up there yesterday. Kind of a cone tornado down to the ground. Looks like it was actually pretty intense. It's your classic 2020s Canada tornado. Really high cone with a little dirt circulation underneath it. So probably going to be more of the same up here with this thing as well. Northeast of Hubbard. There you can see that mesocyclone. Tracking that. You got the inbound, outbound storm relative velocities. See what the environment looks like for these two areas. And I also want to make sure that there's not another tornado warning. There are also severe thunderstorm warnings in lower Michigan too, near where I grew up in Grand Rapids, Newaygo. Damaging winds are going to be the main threat. Let's go to that. Also 1-2 inch diameter hail. Letting Sean know. Looks like a nice supercell out there. So these are the severe storms in lower Michigan. Just blasted through Reed City, Big Rapids, all the way down through Greenville. Grand Rapids does not have any thunderstorms. You're south of the tail end Charlie there. But this is definitely outflow driven. Damaging straight line winds are the main threat. It does look like Grand Rapids is going to be impacted by this outflow boundary. Could be some gusty winds along that as well, closing in on the west side of Grand Rapids there. Could be some gusty winds, but it's not convecting that far to the south. Yeah, looking north from Grand Rapids, you can definitely probably see some ominous looking skies. These are all damaging straight line winds though. No tornado threat here. You can maybe see some embedded supercell structures, some elevated structures here that will create these little enhanced tail cores here, and maybe some enhanced straight line damaging winds there, and you kind of superimpose the mesocyclone contribution to the outflow as well. Usually to the south of those elevated mesocyclones, you can get some enhanced westerly winds. And off to the south of that, it looks like it's more clustered down through Greenville, up into near Cannonsburg. And it looks like Reed City, Everett areas definitely have some pretty damaging winds coming in. But it's Michigan, so a severe thunderstorm in Michigan is usually like 40 or 50 mile an hour winds. I know from personal experience growing up in Grand Rapids. But then I moved to Oklahoma and then experienced a real severe thunderstorm warning down there. Lightning's hitting the ground, starting grass fires, golf ball sized hail cracking my windshield. Almost got struck by lightning a few times. Tornadoes. But Michigan can get some big severe weather as well. You had all those tornadoes recently. And also I remember that derecho in 97, I think it was. at like 100+ mile an hour winds along the lakeshore. So, and lake effect and snow, of course, too, is a great part of growing up in Michigan. Definitely severe thunderstorms moving through here. Damaging straight line winds are the main threat. And definitely no more tornado warnings in southern Wisconsin. And Sean is going after that storm to the north of Melville, Wisconsin right now. Pretty good storm up there. And here you can see those outflow boundaries surging down to the south. The intersection is getting further and further away from that storm south of Dubuque with the appendage on it. And it looked like that one was trying to reach and maybe grab the warm, unstable air, but has so far been unsuccessful. As you can see, these outflow boundaries out ahead of it a ways. Cold, stable air back behind it. So then these updrafts have to be elevated above that stable air. And it's usually pretty shallow stable air there, cold, dense air that slides underneath the warmer, unstable, moist air. And so these storms are elevated above that stable layer at the surface, and they're still capable of producing damaging straight line winds. You can have an elevated mesocyclone there, and kind of the southern edge of that mesocyclone can really enhance the outflow in the vicinity of that appendage. And if it's able to grab onto this area, then it could develop a tornado threat, but I would say there's basically a 0% chance of that happening. Usually the cooler, denser air will always win out. And here you can track that east to west outflow boundary through southern Wisconsin, so definitely are losing that tornado potential up there. So that's what we have. I thought it was more of a code red situation, so definitely had to go live on this. But it definitely looks like it didn't really produce any tornadoes, which is good news. But if I do see any more tornado warnings, I'll be sure to go live once again. So I'm going to get out, try to get some sweat equity in. We got some tropical systems to watch, 3 tropical waves that might turn into tropical cyclones. The southern one is of most interest because it could move northwest over the Yucatan and then into the southern Gulf of Mexico and could even be a threat for southern Texas. So I'll have to keep a close eye on that one. And hoping to get the Dominator weather station installed on Thursday. So I'll be ready to collect data and stream that data live.